Darlington New Nuclear Phase 1.
According to Prime Minister Mark Carney,
This project will make Canada the first G7 country to have a small modular nuclear reactor.
Forget the oil, forget the potash, forget the lumber. The resource that just put Canada on the map of 21st century geopolitics isn't anything you'd find on a school textbook map of Canadian exports. And the number that proves it landed on March 2nd of this year. $2.6 billion. That's the value of a single uranium supply deal signed in New Delhi, the largest contract Thamilkko has ever inked with India, and it pushed Canada's nuclear export pipeline into a league that no other Western country can currently match. Let that figure sit for a second, because what it actually means is that while Washington has been consumed by tariffs and trade wars, Canada quietly closed one of the largest energy security agreements of the decade with the world's most populous nation. And if you live in this country, this directly affects what your industry can sell, where your tax base grows, and how exposed you stay to the next American mood swing. I want to walk you through what's actually happening here, because I don't think most people have connected the pieces yet. Most people scrolled past this, but watch how fast the dots line up. 2 months before that India signing on February 2nd, Ontario Power Generation announced that construction on the Darlington nuclear refurbishment, a 4-unit, $12.8 billion mega project, the largest nuclear refurbishment ever attempted on the planet, had been delivered 4 months ahead of schedule and $150 million under budget. 4 months early. Under budget on the largest nuclear refurbishment in human history. If you have any sense of how Western nuclear construction has gone over the past 2 decades, that sentence should stop you cold. Because the Western nuclear track record over the past 20 years has been an unbroken chain of multi-billion-dollar overruns and decade-long delays. And then Ontario just delivered. On time, on budget, twice in a row. For decades, Canada's economic story has been a familiar one. Raw materials, stable governance, the reliable supplier the United States leans on for lumber, oil, potash, and skilled labor. That story isn't wrong. It's just radically incomplete. Because alongside the resource economy ever since the 1950s, this country was making a different kind of bet entirely, building a nuclear technology ecosystem so specialized, so vertically integrated, and so deep that no other G7 nation could replicate it in less than a generation. The decision was made in a government lab at Chalk River, Ontario in the 1950s. The reactor design that came out of it was called the CANDU, Canada Deuterium Uranium. And the choice at its core looked at the time like a workaround. Every other reactor design on the planet runs on enriched uranium, which requires industrial centrifuge facilities to concentrate the fissile portion of the fuel. Those facilities are expensive, technically demanding, and today are controlled almost entirely by Russia, China, and France. Canada didn't have enrichment infrastructure in the 50s, so Canadian scientists designed a reactor that runs on natural uranium straight out of the ground, with heavy water as its moderator. No enrichment required. At the time, this looked like settling for second best. In retrospect, it might be the most strategically important single engineering decision any Western nation made in the entire 20th century. Because every Western country that built its nuclear program around enriched fuel is now structurally dependent on a supply chain running through Moscow, Beijing, or Paris. Canada is not. Now, here's the part that caught me off guard. This wasn't supposed to matter until suddenly it mattered enormously. When Russia invaded Ukraine and the West scrambled to wean itself off Russian energy, every nuclear utility built around enriched uranium suddenly had a bottleneck. Canada's supply chain runs entirely on Canadian territory. Uranium dug out of the ground in Saskatchewan fed straight into CANDU reactors burning natural fuel with no foreign enrichment anywhere in the chain. That's not a marginal advantage. That's the kind of structural independence that countries spend decades trying to build. And Canada had it by accident, sitting there for 60 years, waiting for a moment that the entire energy world is now arriving at.